So we want to welcome everybody this morning. Two things define you. Your patience when you have nothing, and your attitude when you have everything. So choose to work today for a better tomorrow. This morning, myself, Surveyor Dr. Prosper Larry, and Surveyor Dr. Tina Webega will be your drivers for the day. We want you to not fasten your seatbelt so tight, allow some fractional misclose so that you'll be able to gear yourself up for the happenings of the day. The day is so much loaded, and I know that with the elegant voice of Dr. Tina, who is also our Vice Chair of the LSD Division, we shall steer the affairs of this morning's program to a successful end. We therefore want to call on Surveyor Eric Okante to come and usher us into the presence of God so that this program will have the blessings of the Almighty. So Surveyor Eric Okante.
Thank you very much, MC. Can we upstand to have a prayer? Heavenly Father, I want to give you the praise and the glory this morning. Thank you for your favors. Thank you for your mercies. Thank you, Father, that you have taken good care of us. Even from the time that we came around, you have been with us. You have steered the affairs of yesterday. You have brought us into today. Lord Jesus, we ask you to come and take your seat. Even as we gather here again to deliberate on issues, when we talk about our profession, Lord, that is true. Give us the wisdom, give us the understanding, and let everything be done to the glory of your name. We bless you in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen. We want to still be upstanding so that we can take our anthem. So let's please stand. Many do not know the anthem. They do the mistake. So go to your page, please open the
By introducing our chairman, for today. Our chairman joined GHIS in 1986. He has served on the Government Council for so many years and on several committees of the Government Council, namely AGM, 25th Anniversary Planning Committee, the Finance Committee, and the Education Committee, and so many more. He was elevated to the fellow class in 2015 and served as the chairman of the Land Surveying Division from 2019 to 2022. He worked with SMD from 1980 to 2010 and worked as a Greater Accra Regional Surveyor from 2001 to 2010. He's now a principal partner of Aqua Latte and Associates, a surveying firm in Accra. He's happily married with 4 adult children and 7 grandchildren. His hobbies include athletics, boxing, and soccer. So, shall we clap whilst we invite our chairman for this occasion, Surveyor J.C. Aqua, to come.
Thank you, MC. Thank you, MC. And good morning to you all. We're here to look at problems and also to find solutions to them. We started yesterday, and by God's grace, we are all strong this morning. We've gathered to continue with what we started yesterday. On that note, I want to say that I accept to be the chair this morning, and I pray that you all cooperate. Let your questions and comments be seasoned with salt. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Chairman. We now want to take our very first presentation, and this presentation will be done by our own Vice President for FIG, Surveyor Kwame Tibedu Senior, and he's going to be talking about the coordinated implementation and management of local plans, the impact of professional surveyors, uses of global perspective as a guide for rapid implementation and career development of the young surveying professionals. Let's welcome him with a word.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. And good morning, colleagues, distinguished participants. I want to continue the brilliant discussions we had, engagement we had yesterday, sharing my thoughts with you with respect to the theme that we have chosen for the day. And you have seen that I have highlighted quite a few words there: professional surveyors, global perspectives, rapid career development, and the young surveying professional. I like to always be inspired by what our predecessors have done. Michael, okay, yeah. As part of my introduction, I want us to listen to Thank you very much, distinguished audience. Asemi Dekan, Ajumai Hinabeye, Yangara o Yangara, and Yobiara, Yangara, and Ebeye. I'll try and speak Dagbani, but I'm frightened by nasty here, so I'll not do that. Nuchmoye, yes, I know what you now about you. Hina and Obeye Jume. So, ladies and gentlemen, that is the context with which I want to have a discussion with you. First, as land surveyors, professional surveyors, and two, the fact that we need to contribute to our country in ways that we have the competencies to do, and to understand that we are all part of the global agenda, and that whatever we contribute locally also enables the global good. So, as I said earlier, I am going to discuss the professional surveyor. I am going to look at rapid implementation and strategy, in addition to some of the global perspectives that others have used to achieve some of the goals that they set themselves. I am also going to see if this can lead to some form of career development, particularly for the young ones amongst us who are desirous of creating niches for themselves. And as I do that, I want you to, think along with me. Think along with me and let us try to see who a cadastral or land surveyor, geomatic or land surveying professional is. Let's just try and see what is the ecosystem, what is the biosystem when we say somebody is a professional surveyor. And for me, I think that the underlying principle, that's what I call the canon. Canon. The canon principle, the underlying principle is one, a professional who is knowledgeable, understands the what, the where, and the missing links are, where the information is, because we are in an era of artificial intelligence, the Internet of Things, big data. Big data in some countries and the developed world today is even far more than the gold that we are mining. And they consider that as one of the drivers of many economies. Then we should look at our practice if we want to be an organic, a real organic professional surveyor. What is our practice scope? What kind of skill sets do we have? What are our services, what types of services that we offer society? And do we do continuous training? Is it necessary? Then another very important third leg of who a professional surveyor should be is one who has a network and one who creates a network and collaborates based on law, professionalism, ethics, trust with stakeholders and ancillary professionals. Ancillary professionals, every other professional should be able to play along with a professional surveyor. So every other person is a game, part of the game. And that is what I want to say. And you see, Nikola Tesla, and I quote from him, said, and I quote, "Of all the frictional resistances, the one that most retards human movement is ignorance." That is what Buddha called the greatest evil in the world. When you are ignorant, you stay where you are. You don't know how to influence. You don't know how to change your own situations. And we are going to have a discussion to see if we can begin to change our lives. For me, I'm bringing you some kind of global perspectives. I am here to inspire, to speak and inspire, and see what kind of changes that we can all bring to ourselves. And the FIG that I am part of, that all of us are part of, has had some kind of footprints. And if you look at the red dots, unfortunately the fonts are not big enough here, but you have those 6 or 7 red dots are all the words that you find there. Inspire. You inspire and support a collaborative platform from emerging members of all surveying disciplines. All the surveying disciplines. So it's looking at the context of what FIG we consider the surveying disciplines, valuation, quantity surveying. So that kind of organic thing. And then we nurture existing and grow new partnerships. Every time, and like today, I'm meeting new faces. I really want to grow the kind of partnerships that I think that are very useful to us. I know people want to have discussions, you know, meet their peers and, hey, guy, what is happening? What can we do together? And we need to also strengthen the bond between FIG, YSN, and the young surveyors globally. We all agree that the youth, if you take the African population, the youth is a certain time bomb. And everybody is addressing, or all countries are addressing matters related to the young ones. And the young professionals, the young surveying professionals are no exceptions when we come to this. We are to promote and share knowledge. I've said that when I was discussing the ecosystem of who a professional surveyor should be. We have to innovate. We are in the time and spirit of innovation. It is not all about just the academic qualification, but what you use the academic qualification for, what you use the environment that you find in academic spheres to do, how you innovate. And then we have to raise awareness. This awareness that we are raising, part of it is what we are doing here today. We're raising the awareness of the profession through the Ghana Institution of Surveyors, and in some few weeks to come, through the global FIG brand. We want to empower, and then in a collaborative team. Ladies and gentlemen, for FIG, they really use the young professionals as one of the biggest tools in ensuring that they become relevant and that the profession is sustained. I'm using my word advisedly, relevant and sustainability of the profession. Because it is the young ones who are the real drivers of what, you know, the moment is all about. Unfortunately, we can't see this. So I don't know. The fonts are a little too faint. There's nothing we can do about that. But it started a journey, and you have the various sessions. My slides will be shared, so you probably, if you have time, you can also read it. And at the moment, there is what we call the volunteering agenda, where we use volunteerism in order to address a lot of the societal issues that confront us as surveyors. So FIG came out with what it calls the Volunteer Community Surveyors Program. And as you can see on the screen, it says, map the world a better place. That is an inclusive mapping. When we say map, it's just not the line maps that we normally know. What data collection and populating it and telling the world where that data exists is also part of the mapping. So in a generic way, this is what the agenda is all about. This volunteer community surveying program, as the word implies, it's structured to solve basic community projects. So we can decide that we are taking Atronie, for instance, which is a community not far from Sunyani, and then we take up a project, and then we get volunteers, and then we go on, and then we do what we have to do. It has happened in six countries. There's been quite a number of in-country developments, and there's also the e-volunteering. The e-volunteering is that they are very seasoned or very experienced professionals across the profession, IT experts, surveying professionals, geodesists, who are out of employment now, not out of employment, but they are retired, full of experiences. So they don't need to travel. So we set up this environment in order that they can engage with the young ones and share their experiences and expertise that they have. So this is the architecture of the volunteer community surveying program. The architecture is made up of, first, the funding partners. And by funding partners, they provide the funding to the program as a whole or in part, and using different funding models. I guess we are not going to allow funding to always be exclusive. That's why they use other funding models. Other funding models can be contributions, can be anything that will make the project, move on. And then we have the technology partners, some of whom we will be engaging if we decide to do one of the projects in Ghana, for instance. We have the technology partners who provide technical resources and expertise to the VCSP. For example, many projects within the VCSP require fit-for-purpose technology solutions. We don't need top-of-the-range, technological solutions. They must always be fit-for-purpose, and they provide instant solutions. Equipment where these partners bring with their expertise. So you have companies like Tremble and all of that, some of the big companies and some of the smaller companies who contribute and become the technology partners. Then we have the knowledge partners. The knowledge partners act as technical support experts and advisors. They support the program through verifying and supporting knowledge transfer in deployments and e-volunteering events, or providing expertise for wisdom workshops and knowledge portals. They create a portal where information, data, and all that is required is actually created at the portal where you can access. So we are volunteers, we have set up our VCF's program, we want to go and do a project. We go to the portal and you will have examples, you have information, you have tools, software, that you could use for the project. So they put all of these things there for the use of the project. Then we have the opportunity partners, and GHIS, we are an opportunity partner. Opportunity partners as a link to opportunities. And when I say the word opportunities, I hope we all understand what the context is. Linked to opportunities, and often act as the main development organization in an in-country program. For instance, if we want to use this as a model, GHIS can say, okay, we want to, for instance, liaise with A or B's tool, and then have this in-country program, and then we'll bring the funding partners, we'll bring the technology partners, we'll set up the knowledge partners, and then we'll roll it up. Now, some of the examples that have been very successful, you will ask a question, what is surveying about this? But it's all about positioning, time, and places. This is a workshop on e-volunteering to address some of the environmental challenges, and they call it Mapathon. Mapathon, to map the plastics, for instance. In Tanzania, for instance, you have Crowd to Map. Crowd to Map is a group of young surveyors who came up and, using the current technologies, created some kind of a system where they would support positioning, support bringing information from areas where it is not accessible. And this is the impact that the crowd system is able to achieve. For instance, in Tanzania, the Volunteer Community Surveyors Program and the Working Group 3.6, which is actually a working group of Commission 3, came up with the geospatial nest. partnered with Crowd2Map Tanzania, so we can say Crowd2Map Ghana or Crowd2Map GHIS, and that's working using humanitarian surveying and hot OSM mapping to help fight female genital mutilation, to help girls escape cuttings in Tanzania. So the impact of it was that they were able to address the challenges the local rescue team and the civic services have been confronted with the unknown territories. I mean, some responders, somebody wants assistance. They don't know where it is. So they use this crowd system and tell their position. So people are also able to, for those who are the rescuers, they are able to, find where these people who need the support are, and then go out there and rescue them. They are also mapping, and they are also contributing to society, health-wise. The main idea of the workshop was to provide contributions for mapping towns and villages in the region, to provide geospatial information and guidance to the ground team. So it is not about just a map, but it was specific, it was thematic. They wanted a rescue mission to rescue girls who were undergoing mutilation that is outlawed. And this volunteer community project has really impacted young surveyors. And these are some of the statements. Unfortunately, it is not legible, but very outstanding. Some say, I have been able to improve my skill. And many of these that you find there, as soon as they finish with their volunteer community programs, they are able to set up something on their own, or they get employed. Because people have now seen their relevance. So they have created a niche for themselves. So you have NGOs and other institutions running after them. And that is the kind of thing that we need to be encouraging our young ones who want to diversify, who want to, always explore, to do. These are global icons. We call them global icons in the FIG parlance because all of these young ones, look at their faces. Very, very young ones. Some even students have had, to participate in these programs, and they have become global icons. And the impact in their personal lives is enormous. The skills, the training, the opportunities, not just local, not just because you did it in Ghana, but you could be invited to any other place on the earth to go and support. Recently, a few of them were invited to go and then help in areas where they were flooding, because they had skills in mapping out where people had, where inaccessible, it was difficult to access, and where people needed support. So they had that experience. Just this morning, I went to my LinkedIn handle, and I found this lady, Michelle. Michelle Nagawa is one of the icons of the Young Surveyors Network, a very young, talented lady, was actually supported to travel for the first time by FIG, and she's now a global icon. She has published her own book, and she's doing so much. And there she was, Claire Baston. Claire Baston is one of the directors in one of the biggest NGOs on land, posting her discussion that she was having on a radio station, explaining to young professionals, to young talented professionals, what has changed in her life. When you do get my slides, you would know them, and I will be reposting some of these on my LinkedIn page so that some of you can still read. Now, what I am thinking about for us as a country, in view of the challenges that we have. Yesterday, we spoke here about the cost of base map. Anytime we talk about cost is always relative. Maybe and we know also that data drives enterprises. So the way forward is the geo solutions that we need to provide. And all of these things, we are going to ensure that our technical partners are able to support us. equipment, with data, with anything that they can use. And these slides I had shared with you some time ago. I tried to assess, if we want to do this, what are some of our strengths, what are some of our weaknesses. And one of the strengths that we have is that we still have a very vibrant young surveyors network. And some of the weaknesses is that we are not so structured. We don't know exactly what we want to do. Some of the opportunities are that state institutions, LUPSA, SMD, can benefit from ancillary services of the private sector at no cost to them. So because it is a project to do this, we can decide to say we're helping these two or we're helping this community, and it's at no cost to them. The threats are we always fear the unknown because we have not tried. Who is going to be the leader to try? What we must organize, please, I won't read through this, but I urge you, just write Article 37(2) of the 1992 Constitution. Just sit and reflect on it. We are all mandated by that clause, or what do you call it, lawyer? Is that chapter of the Constitution, Yeah, that chapter of the Constitution, to be able to participate effectively in nation building. And that's what it says. I've underlined what empowers me in red. The same Constitution has laid the foundation for us. So you write the necessary articles at 35(3), subclause 3, Article 36(2), and read them. You read them. You don't need a lawyer to explain to you, but you read them and see whether they make any sense to you. Additionally, just a couple of days, actually on my way here, I got copied in on one of the biggest reports that makes impacts, and it is from the GeoBiz, and it says the global geospatial market is forecasted to be about $681 billion by 2025. Where are we? 2022, aren't we? Just 3 years away. Look at the global market size. What are we doing? And GNSS and positioning is forecasted to be the largest and fastest growing geospatial technology segment, with approximately 45% of the total market share, followed by GIS and spatial analytics at approximately 25%, and Earth observation at approximately 17%. Location-based services, that's consumer applications, are also forecasted to increase by 2025. And the economic impact is in the area by 2030 is in trillions of dollars. What is the share for Ghana? And what is the share for GHIS? And what is the share for you as an individual? So there are open source tools. You will have a copy of my thing and what my slide, and you can really go further to, and I'll be available for further engagement. These are what others are using through open source to help in e-commerce, banking, transportation, municipalities, NGOs, technology companies, startups, education, and health solutions. All of these are open source. This is a prototype by the GeoOSM. If you are interested, please talk to the International Relations and Public Affairs Committee of the Land Surveying Division. These are all the information that I really wanted to share with you, but I think time is not allowing me to go much further. We are trying to do the project management cycle by, making sure that we involve planners and other stakeholders, the CPD committee, to come up with how we can structure one of the community programs. Who is it for? It is for young ones and the mature ones in academia who want to do research, who want to publish, who want to network. It is also a training forum for if you want to develop your skills, if you want to do CPDs, if you want to network, if you want to mentor, those who want to mentor with experiences. It's also an opportunity for startups to create income and network and then create jobs. We'll create all the social media handles and then create many of the opportunities that are available. We have infinite online tools, and there will be lots of volunteers who will be able to, fund, partner, and then share their organizational competencies with all of us. We'll do a mapping of some of the social and economic impacts that we think are very necessary for us. And your skills are, if you have any skill in computing, GIS, geodesy, surveying, programming, let us hear from you. If you're a GIHIS member at all classes, from fellow to whatever class there exists, let us hear from you. And from young planners, if you are a planner and you want to participate in this program, let us use from you. What experience do you need? Zero experience. Just contact us and let's get on. In about a couple of weeks here, the Young Surveyors Network, less than a month ago, they will be volunteering for the future, and their theme is Smart Surveyors for Social Good. And you understand what the social good is all about. And so this is in Warsaw, in Poland. I want to end the book of lamentation. You know, here from yesterday we have been lamenting. So please, I am just exhorting you, let us stop lamentation. So today, danger mark means no enter. Nobody should lament again. The lamentation ceases. Oh, these are the problems that changes. Grieving, sobbing, and crying, and all of that. Let us cease that lamentation. I beg you have added another chapter to the Holy Book. So this is lamentation number 2. Let's stop as surveyors. Life is really simple, but we insist on making it complicated. And you agree with me. All of us sitting here, we know the solutions. We want to complicate it, talk about it, fight over it, because we are land surveyors. That is what we want to do. But thank you very much. I hope I've been able to impact you.
Thank you very much, Surveyor Kwame Tinedu. We've gone global, we've gone international, with emphasis on young surveyors. We'll take about 3 questions and then go on to the next presentation. Are there any questions for Surveyor Kwame Tinedu? Yes, please. Give the mic to our Vice President, Surveyor Dr. Akwaje.
Thank you very much. Mine is not a question. It just to inform LSE what the present Cabinet Council and the previous one has been doing about some of the challenges that the presenter mentioned. So I'll talk briefly. The first one is that we have the President has engaged the young surveyors in the forum and to know what they want the institution to go. And I think it's a good testimony to show that the Council is willing this. We have realized that we are not using the young surveyors, so there's a need to engage them and encourage them so that we can build a strong institution. At the divisional level, we are encouraging that all the divisions should draw their programs and involve the young ones. As LSD, I didn't know to say a lot because we observed that last year. It's the last session. Yeah, we gave CPD. Is it this session or last session?
This session.
This session. We gave a CPD to the young surveyors, and everybody here can testify that they did wonderfully well. So it is a challenge for all the other divisions to emulate that. The membership committee has also drawn up several programs as a way of engaging the young ones, and we have started. Some of them involve visiting the schools, especially special education, to meet the upcoming surveyors, so that they will know the opportunities that we have and they need to be part of the institution. We have so far opened inaugurated about three of the student associations, and it's one of the things that we'll keep on doing so that we'll bridge the gap between the young and the institution. And more importantly, there is a mentorship program that the Surveyor President has instituted. We are creating a platform that has already been created. So I'm sure very soon you will see, when you go online, you will see that there are people or surveyors, senior surveyors, who have built themselves so that the young surveyors can also learn from them as a way of mentorship. So what I would say is that, yes, we are far behind, as our Vice President has said, but with your support, I think we can do it.
Thank you very much. I think I'll take the last question from a young surveyor. The last question from a young surveyor. Someone prompted me before we started that the elderly people have hijacked the program. So please, young surveyors, please ask a question.
Wisdom, not
Elderly, oh sorry. Wisdom. Okay, PP Abose would ask a question.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Our Honorable FIG Vice President, I didn't see the example of what the Ghanaian young surveyor is doing. Proud to what our Vice President told us. Incidentally, I was present at that YSN engagement. I really saw that our current president, Surveyor President, has this vision. I believe it's a teamwork, but just as she is leading. Are we not doing anything in Ghana, even in West Africa, to encourage those of us here? Because all the examples you give, of course, you give Tanzania, then later I saw things like you are inviting us to Poland. Is there nothing happening here? Because I know we started YSN for some time now. It went, did some nose diving and came back. And I believe with the current ESCO, both at the GC level and the divisional level, some effort has been made. Thank you.
Where are your people? Do you have any questions?
They are happy with it.
They are happy. All right. Thank you. Would you please answer the questions?
Thank you, Chair. The first question is acknowledgement, and I didn't say it though, but it was on the screen by Ephraim Amo, and sorry about that. And interpretation, that will be for the next session, where I'll do the Dagbani, the Ga I did, and then other languages, I'll do the translation. So, ED, stay assured. Okay. So, he's put me on the spot. I acknowledge that next time I'll do that. I take note of it. I can't do it now.
Can I help the speaker? At least in English. It says, this is the work. Who is to do it? It is me. who should do it and nobody else. That's what the song means.
It's you who will talk about it.
Now, the other, thank you, Dr. Akweje, for your comments. They are well noted. But it also dovetails into the question of past President Abose. You know, I've always been saying that if you do things and you don't publicize it, that is why companies spend so much money on publicity. They spend so much money on advert. If you don't sell yourself, who knows what you are doing, who will buy it? I've been involved with YSN, they can attest to that. I've been very passionate with YSN. So what I would suggest is that these countries that I mentioned, they have taken the global limelight because the young surveyors there, Nigeria, Uganda, Tanzania, they are using the tools, what they call it, the Facebook, the social media handles and other advertising portals and institutional websites and publicizing their papers that they are presenting, their interactions with society, not necessarily surveying, but every social thing and interaction that they are having with society, they are making sure that it's publicized. So what I will urge our young surveyors is that, yes, as a patron, I want to, you know, put it on record that I'll be prepared to, I am personally prepared to finance some of these things, website creation, cloud matters, for us to be able to, at least for 1 year, to be able to see, you know, how we would be able to brand and publicize what we do. So if we get the branding right, if we get the publicity right, I am sure that even before we all gather for any meeting, people know what the young ones are already doing. I hope that, takes care of that. And that is why I say contact the International Relations and the Public Affairs Committee when we move on.
Of Ghana, and it's going to be on licensed surveyors cooperating with all surveyors to bring sanity in cadastral survey in Ghana. And to do the presentation will be Surveyor Bibi Akwa. Shall we please invite? So as he walks up here, please know that the YSN has an exhibition in the corner there, so kindly visit them so that you can know what they are also doing. Thank you.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. You are welcome back here this morning. I hope you slept well. Well, I'm going to make it brief because Surveyor Tinedu is done almost everything. As was read to you, the topic from LISAC, Licensed Surveyors Association, is licensed surveyors cooperation with all surveyors to bring sanity in the cadastral survey in Ghana. It is with much pleasure that the Licensed Surveyors Association of Ghana, LISAC, has been given the opportunity to make this presentation. We would like to have a lively discussion with our colleague, land surveyors, on how to sanitize the cadastral surveying aspect of our profession. We all know that cadastral surveying is a legal survey of boundaries of properties. Since land is the foundation of any development, people attach serious emotions to boundary demarcations. In Ghana, we have all been talking about quacks in the cadastral surveying practice from time immemorial. Who then is a quack, and how do we prevent quackery? The dictionary definition defines quack as a person who pretends professionally or publicly to skill, knowledge, or a qualification he or she does not possess, to bracket, charlatan. Our question is therefore this: is the graduate from the service school or the university trained as land surveyor or geodetic engineer a quack if he or she undertakes a cadastral survey? Does he or she have a qualification, skill, or knowledge in the possession of undertaking boundary surveying or not? Is he or she pretending professionally or publicly to know how to undertake a boundary survey? You all agree with me that he is definitely not pretending, but all agree that there are licensing regime for any recognized professional practice all over the world. This therefore means, though you are qualified, have the knowledge and skill, yet you have to be licensed by a statutory body authorized with the mandate to practice on a professional, as a professional in your trained profession. It is with this in view that the Licensed Surveyors Association, LISAC, is proposing a collaboration with LSD GHIS to fashion a win-win situation for all surveyors in Ghana, as long as he or she has the professional qualification from recognized institution of surveying. The cadastral surveying field is so wide that the number of licensed surveyors cannot meet the demand, and therefore need the help of all LS or all LSD members to meet the national demand. It is to be noted also that most of the licensed surveyors are over 60 years of age, as the SMD staff are licensed after retirement. And this notwithstanding, there is an opportunity to be licensed through an examination conducted by the Lands Commission. Just as in all professions, one required to undertake pupillage or tutelage for some number of years before they qualify to write the qualified examination of their professions. This is done under a licensed person. The Survey Act 127 of 1962 and the Land Act 1036 of 2020 gives how to qualify as a licensed surveyor in Ghana. It is in this spirit that the Licensed Surveyors Association of Ghana is proposing that the GHIS LSD and LISAC collaborate to train land surveyors in licensed surveyors' offices for a specific agreed period before they take their qualifying examination. It is suggested that LSD assigns all their members who are not licensed to work with licensed surveyors so that they will not be branded as quacks. These two institutions should work out a plan to share arrangements that will be a win-win situation for all to adhere to. This will prevent the old licensed surveyors from using the unqualified ones to undertake surveys for them. Please note that if this is accepted, then it will benefit all surveyors going forward, since it will apply to the current pupils who they are also licensed and they will become old after some time. This agreement will bring sanity to cadastral surveying practice, since only qualified surveyors will work in the cadastral survey practice under a licensed surveyor. Therefore, killing or minimizing the quackery menace in the practice. This arrangement will also enable licensed surveyors to set up offices which will bring credence to the practice, and that leads to proper fee system which will be inured to the benefit of all surveyors in Ghana. Licensed Surveyors Association is ready to meet the ESCO of LSD, GHIS, to work out the modalities for this arrangement to work in the interest of cadastral surveying. We also propose another arrangement which will enable us deliver credible plans for the spatial land use. Lastly, it is suggested that to enhance this collaboration, the SMD, for that matter, Lands Commission, should consider modifying the layout of the cadastral plan, trade name, site plan, to include name and GHIS number of surveyor who did the field work, 2, name and the GHIS number of the surveyor or the cartographer who did the plotting. Finally, the name and the license number of the approving surveyor who is the licensed surveyor. This is what pertains in architectural drawings who are also professionals. On this note, say thank you very much. This is the short message from Lisa.
Okay, thank you very much. He's saying that if you have any question, you can see him at the close of the program, and he's carrying it because he's doing it on behalf of his boss. So just in the same way as LS Chair said no questions, maybe he wants to follow suit, but you eventually took questions, so he may take questions too. Yes, he may take questions. Thank you very much, Lisa. We want to move on to maybe the very last program, then we take our coffee break, and then we come and fire on some other presentations, and then time with YSN. And we are also moving the health talk to after coffee break. We want to have that so that in the afternoon at the AGM, we can have a smooth flow. When we come back after lunch, it will be all about LSD business. So we are pushing everything to this morning. So let's be very cautious with time when we give you the opportunity to contribute. We want to do the open forum, and this one, we are doing it in line with the theme. And this is also going to inform us about the takeaways. From yesterday, I don't know if our planners are around. Oh, great. So we've been talking about how these collaborations can be effective and the implementation. And we are also saying that it isn't that we have not been collaborating, but how effective can these be? And so we want to sum up the stakeholders that are involved apart from the surveyors and the planners, the key stakeholders that are involved, we want to systematically address the challenges and the bottlenecks. Then we come out with the solutions and the way forward. And this will become some of the resolutions that this seminar will take. And so as it's going to be an open forum and interactive, we also want to plead that these things are just straight to the point. You don't have to speak more than 2 minutes and explain. Just tell us. And so those carrying we have the cordless microphone. Yes, so help us. If the person does beyond 2 minutes, just put it off with all humility, please, so that everybody can. So just go straight to the point. And I hope my recorders, you are recording, please record those points, and then we see. So it's going to be in 3 folds. That's why the planners are there, so that we can all judge together, because it wouldn't have been in the right frame if we are saying it how we want. So together, how do we want it to be like? And so we will take the first part.
Okay, just as Savia Dr. Prosper said, we would look at the stakeholders. So apart from the planners, apart from surveyors, who else should be involved in playing a role in making sure that we get our layout schemes done very well? Who else?
Yeah, so please send the microphone. You just tell us who they are. No too much elaboration. Then they record, and then we move. Please, you can send
whilst the mic goes there, there's an announcement. Those who want to receive receipts for monies they have paid, kindly be patient. The receipts will be given to you later. So please be patient. Everybody will get their receipt. Thank you. So Sabeya Tieku.
Thank you, Madam. When the LISAC man spoke, I thought you have given us 2 seconds. Now, I'm talking for LISAC and GHIS. I'm not too sure. Now the former chair is here to correct me. Whether they have now formally, LISAC and GHIS, have formally recognized one another. LISAC, yes. Has GHIS formally recognized LISAC? Because, for example, when the LISAC manager spoke, he said, for example, when they are drawing, they are suggesting that in some of the submission to Land Commission and so on, so GHIS will come in, GHIS, I'm happy about that. But has GHIS formally recognized it? Because they wrote before, for recognition, for collaboration. It was put in writing to say no. I said this in Kweho years ago. And the former chairman said, oh, even the letters are with him. What is the position today, please?
Please, we will defer that for later. We are not answering that now. Thank you. So any question on stakeholders? Please, there's a hand up here.
Thank you. I think the custodian of the land and then the assembly members.
The custodian of the land and assembly members. I think that's true.
Yes, it's just the same thing. That's the landowners. They are very key. And the MMDAs. Because we surveyors, professional surveyors, and other professionals like the planners, those who stand on our way are the landowners. And most of these things are influenced by the land tenure system we have in our various regions. So there is no a clear solution, maybe one solution to this implementation problem that we are discussing here. So it is unique in every region, and the drivers, especially the main drivers, are the landowners. Thank you.
So the landowners are key to ensuring. Yes, please.
Hello. I think the developmental partners, highways, Ghana Highway Authority, urban roads, feeder roads, they are part of physical development. So they should be involved from the very start. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. We have a hand up here, a lady. Kindly get the mic to her.
Well, I think the utility companies should also be included as stakeholders in terms of planning Ghana Water, ECG, just as he said with feeder roads and urban roads as well.
Okay, thank you very much.
She said the utility companies.
Yeah, hello. We are discussing planning schemes or local plans. Yesterday, from the presentation the LUSPA officers made, we realized that according to them, they have structures where local plan is under the district structure development frame. I don't know how this district structure development frame is disseminated to other various institutions, because without this one being defined clearly on ground, definitely I think these local plans where surveyors produce base maps can do conflict with this structural plan if they are not well defined on ground. How do we include them in your base map on which the local plan is going to be produced from? So I also think that they should make these informations available, especially to the SMD, to put them in their database, whereby if base maps are produced, they are cross-checked with this structure plan, so future plans are not distorted.
Thank you. We are currently dealing with the stakeholders. We will go on to talk about how we should collaborate. That will be the next thing we'll talk about. So if there are any other key stakeholders that we haven't captured.
Yeah, I think one of the important personnel for the implementation of the layout are the people whom are in the geographic area of the layout. The people on the ground. I think there should be collaboration, education for the people who are going to benefit from that layout.
Mr. Chair, I would want us to refer to the Land Act, and it defines any person with interest in land. So persons with interest in land must be identified. And then 2, the communities where those plans will be applying.
So the land guards and then the communities.
The people in charge of the development control at the various assemblies, at the building inspectorate division, I think they can also be roped in to assist. Thank you.
All right, so thank you. So now let's come to the second part. Thank you for all the inputs you are making. So we'll also look at the law to see the other people's, but you see that they are quite broad. And like somebody also mentioned, you can't do away with the people who also have, part of those who have the interest is the people you are planning for. And so definitely they must be involved so that you don't plan something, it meets standard, but not very user-friendly. So all these things must be put in place. Let's go to the second act. And so why is this collaboration within the planners and the surveyors? What are some of the bottlenecks? What is stopping it from not happening? Because we are already doing this, but it's not effective. So what are some of the problems, or what are some of the challenges, both from the surveying side and both from the planning side? Then when we identify that, the next phase we say, so how do we solve it? Then when we know how we will solve it, then we find out what are also the key steps in this collaboration process to make it better than we have been doing. So this one too, you did well in the first session. let's not talk too much. What are the key problems? In the presentations, we've tried to do that. So, Anand, you want to? I saw your hand. So, you tell us what are the key problems. So, we're identifying problems now, and it should just be specific within a minute or two. Yes.
I'm not going to propose the problem. I want to find out from the planners.
Okay.
What are we not doing right that's causing us not to be able to collaborate with them?
Okay. All right. Thank you. All right. So before we go there, so let's let them respond, then we move to that. That's a good. So no problem. Let's hear from them. What will you have wished surveyors do better?
Yeah. I think there has been a migration onto a digitized platform. And I think technology is also moving at a fast pace. For that matter, the need for us to migrate at par with the speed at which technology is going. As I made mention, these days, hardly do you go to a planning office and find these long tables with T-squares, Z-squares, and what have you. Even some time ago, I remember at my first station, we were using pantograph to blow to push it for survey mapping division. But now, because of digitized platforms, we have OSM and other technologies and mapping platforms that help us to do the work at a fast pace. And then the use of software in doing some of these works. So if a surveyor is not maybe working at par with you as a result of maybe technological challenges, then it creates a big a bridge or a gap, which at times make the planners capitalize on to do things that surveyors are supposed to do. That was why I said yesterday that when the drone was brought into the region and then we were being trained, we involved the surveyors, so not the core mandate of fiscal planning office. And and even these days when we are flying the drones, the surveyors are not involved. You see, so it will be like planners are maybe entering into the territory of surveyors. Meanwhile, we will need them so that we'll be doing all these geospatial information that we are working with. So these are some of the challenges that we are facing. And this open street, okay, all right.
You said that they are not always involved.
Yes.
Is it that they are not invited or they decline to be part?
You see, they are supposed to be there. But even at times when you call, it's like other works and other things prevent them from maybe being engaged in this exercise. So these are some of the challenges that we face. And also,
pointing out what they would wish, is that not it? It may not be at all places, is that not it? But that's what he's pointing out. So let's listen to that. When it gets to you also, bring in your suggestion. We are just trying to see how do we improve. So it's not putting anybody in a bad light, but it's something to help us so that it's not a blame game, yes, but just identify and see how we can. So, for example, please, can we have one meeting? Can we have one meeting? Yes, let's have one meeting.
Yeah, so
this is identified. It means that there are regional surveyors, even our whole director is here. There are other stakeholders here. You pick this, you see how are we able to do it better. So that, so how are you also able to ensure that the time we want to take the activity is at a time that is convenient with the other side? Because you can also start a program without building consensus with the team that are supposed to take place.
yes.
So you can learn, please.
Yeah, so there has been a lot of exchanges, especially with regards to the GIS software that we are using. For instance, the street name and property addressing system. We have a technical committee on the street name and property system across the country, of which the surveyors part. You see, a district and see the surveyor being deeply involved in this street naming, addressing, use of our software to generate these UPN numbers and then the codes of the plots that we are talking about. You see, so once we have that skill, the GIS background, for us to maybe produce some of these maps, at times the surveyor is not present, and then he comes in, it's like there has been a gap already. Some time ago, we met at Anita Hotel, and we were trying to use the street naming maps to update our local plans as an alternative. And then the surveyors raised issues that, are we supposed to produce base maps? Meanwhile, these are the maps that we have used other means to cross-examine. For instance, zooming those maps in Google Earth. If you zoom in the Google Earth, and then the force at the right place, then it may be issues that you are not supposed to do that. So it's like the technology discrepancies that is creating some of these exchanges. So I think GIZ has been training us on different platforms. This OSN that I was talking about yesterday, OpenStreetMaps and all those things, are maps that the Vice President has ruled over the implementation of this DRF software. That's a revenue software which they have ruled over the country for a revenue improvement for the IGF, for the assemblies. So I think there is a need for the surveyors to be deeply involved in some of the GIS training so that all of us will be at par. So that when the surveyor comes in, he doesn't raise issues like a blame game, you are taking over my work and all those things, so that at least we can move together. Thank you.
So you see, what we are saying is that that is an honest presentation. You could have issues with it, but that is why we'll be looking at solutions. Is that not it? So if you feel that maybe some accuracy requirement will be compromised because of a certain technique, what he has said is a what? Modern technique. It's onto us to see how we can work together to get the appropriate standards in the midst of what is being carried out. Is that not it? And that alone is the reason we are here, because that problem has been identified. How do we work with them to ensure that the right tool, the right equipment, and the right methods are used to be able to achieve their purpose? And that's a point well carried. So let's not go back to the back and forth. Let's identify a second problem.
Yeah, thank you, MC. I think one of the key issues is also power play. I am in charge of this. I am in charge of this. That is one of the big reasons why we cannot collaborate. Or because of money. In a way, we are not doing blame games here. We also know some planners, some surveyors who also do plans. They do sketches, local plans, right? But that's not what we are saying. But because people want to stick to what they are doing, or because there is money in the other side, people will always want to stick to it. So I think it's one of the things that we should look at. How are we going to deal with that situation?
Into the preparation of the planning scheme or local plans must be accurate. It must be something that all of us can consume, not fit for purpose. So if you go and take your drone, take your pictures, and prepare a layout, we all know there are a lot of layouts. You take it to where they say they have planned, and you cannot set it out there. Is that not it? So the input is the issue. The input to the preparation of the planning scheme. Because if you come out with a planning scheme and I cannot set it out where it's supposed to be, we have a problem. Thank you.
So, Chief, what do you propose we do so that we just, yes. Or
Quality and accurate maps,
okay,
or spatial data.
Okay.
And let us also bear in mind that we are in a technological era. So we should be doing things digitally.
Okay. All right. Let me be gender sensitive. Let's get to the First Lady.
Thank you. Surveyors have a standard. Most of the times, the planners go with their handheld GPS. Some even go with their phones. And so how they upload the data, which parameter they use is not even known. So at least, if they need a layout, they should contact Survey and Mapping even so that the software that they are using, we will be able to calibrate it well. But they will come out with a layout which doesn't even conform. And I think some are even using Google Map. Sometimes you go, and when you are trying to tell them that these parameters that you are using for your map, they don't want to agree with it at all. I think that is the problem.
Okay, thank you.
Well, let me come in briefly.
Yes.
You see, I will just move to this. Yesterday I stated it. It's just utter disrespect for professional boundaries. That is what we are all doing. As Adna Abu Riley stated, it's the input that is the problem. So if you are collecting data for street naming, the accuracy might be different from what you might need for subsequent cadastral plan preparation. So we can guide them, but the point is having the capacity doesn't give you the mandate. That's the baseline. I cannot go and buy optometric machines and start doing because maybe the doctor, the optician can't buy that machine. That's one thing we need to know. We agree you can capture your pictures to help you do your street naming. But going to the extent of trying to prepare a scheme from it, that is a non-starter. Thank you.
Thank you. Please, let's go to...
Thank you very much. I think one of the major problems in the implementation of local plans effectively has to do with our understanding and appreciation of the laws that govern these activities. And in relation to the drones, the legislative instrument of 86 is very clear that anyone who engages in aerial photography needs a written permission from the Director of Surveys. And drone falls directly under the spectrum of aerial photography. We don't need to argue about that. The second issue I think I want to mention here as a solution is that from the earlier presentations and from the LUSPA Act, the two major planning authorities is the LUSPA and the MNDAs. And under the MNDAs, we are looking at the Technical Subcommittee and the SPC. In fact, the law states clearly that a surveyor is to be present in these two committees and that the two committees should be responsible for planning. I think what we need to do is that as professionals, when we participate in these committees, let us point out to the rules and the laws that govern these processes. As for the issue of having access to the planning schemes, the Act 1036 is very clear on that local plans that are prepared are to be deposited at the Regional Lands Commission offices. And that, according to the LUSPA, we must have a public data room. In many of the districts, we have public data rooms. So like I said, let us begin to look at some of these laws that govern the conduct of planning in our various districts.
Yes.
Thank you.
Please watch me.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. We are losing a very cardinal point in our discussions, and that is the application of the law. You see, everything we do, if it is not backed by law, we will talk and talk and talk and not use this anyway. Now, what does the Survey Act say? Survey Act of 1962, Act 127. It states that a person who is working in a government environment or something has the power to prepare plans. He has the power to prepare plans. It is on that basis that the town planning, the LUSPES and PW and others do the preparation of their plans. Because the law allows them to do that. When you want to confront them, they are going to quote the law against.
So your
but the point is, that plan that they have prepared must be authentic. That is why it is supposed to be signed by a licensed surveyor or the Director of Service. Now, if we, as surveyors, decide to sign anything that they present before us, we will never make any headway because they bring the thing to us. They have prepared it, we don't check, and we sign. So what do you expect to happen? We compromise the whole system, be an issue. Thank you.
All right, yes. So we are proceeding.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Whilst we are all contributing, one of the, let me say, the dangerous things which happens is to blow up the 1 in 50,000 topographic maps into 1 in 2,500 base maps in code and use it for the local plan. My working life, this was some of the things that we realized that our colleagues, the planners, were doing. And then for some of them, they want to cooperate with you. But the base, so-called base maps they bring are the 1 in 50,000, which of country, even far back then. Because we don't have the or the 1 in 2,500 maps covering every spot, then they do that and they think that it should cover. And that is where you see lines running over buildings and the rest. Whilst we are all looking for solutions, if we can advise ourselves to look at that aspect, the fact that, yes, it's 1 in 50,000, you are blowing it for about 20 times or so to get your 1 in 2,500 and create a problem. Unfortunately, some of the Lands Commission records for which are being used as searches came from that angle. That's unfortunate in the past. Of course, things are changing, so we still plead with our colleagues. We are working partners. We want the best for our clients, the country, but some of them, we go overboard. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Surveyor Anand. Then I'll come to you, Surveyor Blebo.
I think we're still trying to find solutions for the coordination and collaboration. Let's be factual here. All this number of surveyors against, I think there are 2, Today is 1. Okay, so what will be the person or he will be looking at is that all this against me. So in every aspect, it's going to be very defensive. Let's see. Have we tried to indicate to them or show them what mistakes or what are the consequences of their actions? I think we've not tried to show them that, okay, in using the drone, these are the outcomes you're going to get. In doing this, this is what you're going to get. And this is how it's going to affect the layout or the schemes you're preparing. You can force a donkey to the river. You can force it to drink. But with some coercion, you might be able to get it to do something. So let's see, come to a common consensus. Let's be able to tell them, let them understand the consequences of their actions. I think if they understand it, they get it at the back of their minds, they'll be able to find common or find a way of stopping that or minimizing it. Then we can be able to collaborate very well. I think this is what.
Yeah, so thank you. So I'm sure we'll escalate this discussion beyond this. And that's why we even come out with a communique and then we try to bring out these solutions. So I'm sure this is the first step among many steps. So that's well taken. Yeah, Blebo.
Thank you, Chairman. I want to go a bit out of surveying in terms of collaboration with my little geophysics background. I think I heard the planner says sometimes they decide as to the kind of structures during their planning that should be at certain areas. And I want to know whether they do engage the geotechnical engineers, because without knowing what the ground situations are, if you go and put a high-rise structure in a place that is not fit for such a purpose, you can imagine what will happen with the structure.
Thank you. Let's go to the back now.
I have a suggestion.
That I'll give you time to. Yeah.
But before I do that, I want to ask a question. How many planners are in this hall? How many planners?
I think that point has been made.
What I'm trying to say is that the NUSPA director knows that he has very limited powers over all these planners. He's very limited power. As we speak, we have about 12 assemblies in this region. My suggestion is that going forward, the next time we are having an occasion like this, we should make sure we should invite all the planners or newspaper directors across the assemblies so that they will all come and listen. Because if you don't catch a madman, how do you shave him? Let us.
Point well made.
The other thing I want to say is that
Yes.
if you go to the assembly, they keep these planning schemes to their chest. They will never release it.
Yes.
We can talk and talk and talk, but when you go to them, they will never release it. So we have to find an alternative ways of getting this data out from wherever they are hidden.
Yes.
Thank you.
So please, let's not repeat the issue. This is supposed to be a seminar that will bring out salient points. That's why we'll have a group of people to finally look at it, and then we see the steps we can do. That's why publication of papers are there. But you agree with me that we are normally talk shop, but we have to take the action plan and then see what we can do beyond this seminar. So that's well taken. I will just take director at this time, then we just take one here, and we close because of our time. Hey, and then LS chair is there. Oh, so please, can we give the microphone to the director of surveys, the director of survey and mapping division? Yes. Surveyor Jojo, when I saw you, I thought you were LS chair, or it's prophetic. I'm right. You must bring cola.
Prophetic. Good morning, everybody. My suggestion is what has been echoed by the last director, sort of. Also wanted to amplify what Surveyor Bediaku did indicate, that the fact that you can buy a better stethoscope, a better equipment does not, a better equipment does not give you the mandate, But also coming back to Surveyor Hanan, and then, like I said, Nantokma over there, it gives the impression there was this advert about a small boy who was like, oh, Daddy, I hate football. And the question was why? That's, 11 people chasing one man, one ball. It kind of looks like the same thing we're doing here. All of us in here, indeed, one planner. I think the suggestion is that next time, let's try to get the topics that would be relating to planning to be in a specific time frame, and we get to invite the planners so that they can be here also in their numbers to be able to give us very reasonable contributions as to how we can coordinate the issues. Thank you.
Thank you. So that's suggesting moving forward. And when they are also having their own program, we can also interface. So that is well taken. I'll take Surveyor Jojo, take Surveyor Florence, and then, wow, it's difficult for me, our time. And then the last man there. Yes. So let's make it quick.
Yes.
And then
quick.
So we have seen your hand, but let's see. Quick. Yes.
Thank you very much. I will quote from the LUSPA Act, Section 125. Says the authority shall, in consultation with the Survey and Mapping Division of the Lands Commission, issue guidelines in respect of grid lines and requirements for coordinates based on appropriate systems and skills of maps for spatial development frameworks, structure plan, and local plans. I have drone. My drone is used for pictures, events. It's the same thing LUSPA has. It's not for line map preparation. This is where the crack of the matter is. You can own drone, but what you are using a drone for is the issue.
So solution. I think this drone issue have been mentioned. So
yeah,
please, quickly,
no.
solution.
You see, This is where the problem is. And this is where the solution will come from if we listen to it very well. That we need to make it clear that whatever assignment we are using drone to do, the end result must be what? Is the end result going to be for cadastral map preparation or for pictures to locate properties?
Okay. All right. So let's move. Be assured that that is why in the communique, the resolution, and what we think has to be done, we are going to share a copy with them. So it doesn't mean that because what is our expectation, what we want done. It's not only about the media, but the stakeholders that are involved, so that just like the director and all other people have suggested, there could be many more fora that you can see how to digest this with the people you are dealing with. As for today, yes, he is the only one here, but we are presenting our thoughts as surveyors too. Please, let's be brief, just 2 minutes.
Okay, so thank you, Mr. Chair. Following what Xavier Jojo, I have one example to give. As our planner said that they have data, the one they use for the street naming and things, that's what they are using. I went to a hospital in Accra, I think the south area or so. One big hospital, you have different blocks there. Each block has been given a number. It's supposed to be for the property, and the property it should have one number. But here is the case that those mapping went inside and gave each block in that property different numbers. So when you are using such a data to prepare your map, you will consider that one as different parcels if you don't take care. So we should be careful. At least now you say you have the data, but if you can now involve the line surveyor so that in the interpretation and coming out of it, then I think we'll have a better thing. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. You agree with me that development is far ahead of mapping. That is one of the main causes in your submissions. After the stakeholders, one of the main causes is that development is moving far ahead of mapping. So what are we then going to do to ensure that mapping is ahead of development?
You have made your point. Very well taken. So let's take the last one. So it's clear. Yes, no, let's take the last.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Chair. I want a technical part to an operational perspective of it. I believe we all have very nice ideas towards the problem that we want to solve. But I want to say, after here, we will need an operational plan to what we are saying here. Said that we will sit down with the LUSPA. We will sit down with leaders of LUSPA, draft an operational plan which describes all the activities needed from both parties to bring out the layouts and the schemes that we are talking about. And such operational plan will be approved by both parties, so that if we put the plan out there and tomorrow we are having such meetings or such engagements with ourselves, we will know what each of the parties will need to do to make a successful layout. Thank you.
Thank you very much. So this ends it for the open forum. We would put together a document and then bring it out later. We'll take our next presentation before we go for break, which is team building and teamwork among land administration and management professionals in designing, delivering, and implementing land use planning schemes for good governance. This will be taken by Surveyor David Kwesi Doughty. Shall we please invite him whilst? Okay, so he's presenting on team building and teamwork among land administration and management professionals in designing, delivering, and implementing land use planning schemes for good governance.
Thank you very much for giving me the opportunity to make a presentation. My first year at school, KNUST, I was given a raging pole when we were doing surveying. I still have that raging pole in my hand. And this raging pole, I have been able to study the architecture of land administration and management in Ghana. And out of that study, I have come out to look at the institutional structures and institutional culture of land administration and management in this country with that regime pool. And I want to share with you a quotation. Land is the source of all material wealth. We live on land, and from the land and to the land, our bodies or assets are committed when we die. The availability of land is key to human existence, and its distribution and use are of vital importance. Hence, it behoves on me and you to take careful thoughts on the arrangements that we make concerning our splendid heritage. I'm quoting S. Rotom Simpson, Land Law and Registration, 1976, K. Benchi Enchel, Ghana Land Law, 1964. And for that matter, we are going to look at some of the arrangements in terms of our institutional culture and institutional structures with regards to what we are here to discuss. The first is what? Land use planning. What is land use planning? It is a rational, judicious allocation of available land to different use activities and for different functions consistent with the overall development vision goal of a particular jurisdiction. It ensures highest and best use of land, economic, environmental, and ensuring what? Social balance. That is land use for us. Next slide. And land governance. Land governance is about decisions that are made about access to land and its use, the manner in which these decisions are made, implemented, and enforced, and the way in which competing interests in land are managed. That is governance. And when we are talking of governance, it is about good governance. Next slide, please. Next slide. I'm quoting from Article 36, Clause 8 of the 1992 Constitution, which states, the state shall recognize that the ownership and possession of land carry a social obligation to satisfy the larger community, and in particular, the state shall recognize that the managers of public, stool, skin, and family lands are fiduciaries charged with the obligation to discharge their functions for the benefit respectively of the people of Ghana, of the stool, skin, and family concerned, and are accountable as fiduciaries in this regard. And for that matter, we as land administrators, we are in the position of trust. We are in a position to ensure what? The rule of law. We are in the position of what? Accountability regarding the administration and management of our land resources. I quote again from Article 267, Clause 3 of the 19th Constitution, and it states, there shall be no disposition or development of any stool land unless the Regional Lands Commission of the region in which the land is situated has certified that the disposition or development is consistent with the development plan drawn up or approved by the planning authority for the area concerned. We are on track. And for that matter, development is the carrying out of building, engineering, or mining operations in, on, or under the land. And for that matter, when it comes to these aspects of land, Survey and Management Division is the primus inter pares. It is the giant. So we as land administrators, this is what we are charged with, land use planning. It involves participatory land use planning, ecosystem land use, based land use planning, regional land use planning, integrated land use planning, territorial ecological planning, urban and rural land use planning, and spatial land use planning. These are the issues. as we land administrators, we have to look at. Let's try this. So it involves comprehensive planning and involves what? Consensus building. It involves planning, public engagement, implementation strategies, attainable solutions, long-term solutions, and it involves asset management. The asset management over here is referring to what? Our land and its resources, which is the biggest asset that we have. And for that matter, we have to come out as a team and build a team. And what is a team? A team is a group of people who perform interdependent tasks to work towards achieving a common vision, mission, or specific objective. Next slide. For that matter, what is a vision? That's the best question. It is a coherent view of the future that forms an overarching objective of any institution, like mapping or surveying the vision or any organization. So the vision must be clear, it must be believable, it must be challenging, it must relate to the past, it must be capable of converting it into strategies, it must be scintillating, and it must be tintillating. Go ahead. Yeah, so I have formulated a vision for our team, the team of surveyors, the team of land administrators and managers in this country. And the vision is what? To design, deliver, and implement land use planning schemes to ensure socio-economic and environmental balance in land resource administration and management. And for that matter, yes, it is a triangulation of a social, economic, and environmental values. That is the task. Our values we should have as a team, our values. The values is what? Sustainability, equity, accounting, accountability, and transparency. And for that matter, as we sit, the acronym is what? SIT. As you sit now, wherever you go and you sit, remember sustainability, equity, accountability, and transparency. That is our what? Values. Team building is critical for successful land use planning. Yes. Who is a leader? A leader is a dealer in hope, quoting Napoleon Bonaparte. And you see, the English language is interesting. A leader, if you scrabble it, you get dealer. So a leader is a dealer in hope. We should have a leader who will give us hope. A leader who will give us hope, and not a leader which will give us what? Despondency. So the team leader for our team that we are going to form should have a clear vision. He should be the type who can motivate. He should be an active listener. He must be involved in that team building. He should be the one who acts with integrity, invests in the future of team, makes hard decisions, and should embrace failure wherever there's failure. It's all teamwork. It's all about what? Relationship. What makes a good team? We have to build the trust. We have to avoid bias, ensure free talk. There will be conflicts, but we should be in the position to what? Resolve our conflicts. And we should be able to assess our skills. There are 10 characteristics of what? Successful teams. Yes. What are they then? We should be able to have clear goals. We should define our goals. We should have open and clear communication. I'm not going to elaborate because of time. Yes, please go back. We should have clear goals, defined goals, open and clear communication, effective decision making, balanced participation. Yes. We should value diversity. We are going to have conflicts, but we should be in the position to what? Manage our conflicts. We should build a positive atmosphere. We should be in a position to what? To cooperate, relationship. And leadership should be participative. It should not be monopolized. Teamwork is the single most significant key to effective and efficient designing, developing, and implementing land use planning schemes for good land governance. Simply stated, Winning teams, we are going to be the winning teams in terms of land administration and management in this country if we're able to form an effective team. So as a winning team, we should have a shared vision, shared mission, shared values, shared goals, shared learning, shared effort, shared information, shared recognition, shared motivation, and shared suffering. Please, my next slide, my dear, the next slide. There's a second slide. That's the geese. Have you seen it? Yes. Let's have a look at it. Team and team building, very, very essential in terms of land use planning. Yeah. Yes, nature is so wonderful. We have to study our birds when they are flying. Yes, if between friends, me and you, as land administrators and partners, yes, if between friends, the next season, when you see the geese migrating, going to a warmer place to sort out the winter, pay attention that they fly in a V formation. Perhaps, maybe, you and me would be interested in knowing why. By flying in the V formation, yes, the whole flock of land administrators and managers, we shall be in the position to increase our flight efficiency by 71% compared to just one bird flying alone. Can you manage the land administration Land administration and management in this country alone? You cannot. And for that matter, lesson number 1, sharing the same direction and working as a team gets us to the destination quicker and easier. By helping ourselves, the accomplishment of land administration and management in this country will be greater. Yes. When a goose leaves the formation, do you want to leave the formation? You will feel the resistance of the air and the difficulties of flying alone. You can't manage land administration alone. You come to your senses. Then he quickly, or she, comes back to the formation to take advantage of the flux, power, and momentum acceleration in front of him. Lesson number 2. By staying in tune and united beside those who are going in the same direction, the effort will be less. It will be easier and pleasant to reach the goals of land administration and management. Everyone will be inclined to accept and give help. Lesson number 2. When the leader goose gets tired of flying alone, what happens? He goes back to the end of the V formation while another goose takes over. Lesson number 3. To share the leadership, there must be mutual respect between us all the time. Sharing the hardest problems and tasks with regards to land administration and management, gathering our abilities and combining our faculties, talents, and resources. Yes, go ahead. The geese fly in a V formation quack to encourage the ones in front. In that way, they keep the same speed and momentum. Anytime you go to office, quack, how are you? It will motivate. Lesson number 4. Where there is courage and encouragement, the progress is greater. A timely word of encouragement from leaders, from colleagues, always serves as motivation. It helps and strengthens. It produces the best of results. Please, listen. When a goose gets sick, is injured, or gets tired, what happens? Yes. And he must leave the V formation. What happens? Yes. Yes. Other geese leave the formation too, and they fly with him to help him out and protect him. They remain with him until he dies, God forbid. or he's able to fly again. Yes. They reach the baby. Lesson number 3. Let's stay beside each other, no matter what the differences we have, especially in times of difficulty and great challenges. We are facing difficulties and challenges in terms of land administration and management in this country, but let's stay united. Lesson number 5. No, please. Lesson number 5. Let's stay beside each other, no matter what the differences we have, especially in difficult times and challenging times. Colleagues, if we bond together and support each other, if we make through the spirit of teamwork, regardless of our differences, we can rise to meet our challenges. If we understand the real value of friendship, if we are aware of the feeling of sharing, life will be easier and the passing of 25 years will be more fulfilling. There's a mix-up. Thank you very much. The single most, thank you very much, colleagues.
Is any questions? LS Chair, I realize you were very... Do you have any question? Sabeya Hanan. Question? Yes, please, Sabeya Tieku.
Sure, Mr. Chairman, thank you, and MC, thank you. Let me David. She asked if any question. I said yes. I don't have any question. I just want to salute my colleague, Saba Daute. Well done. I'll tell Mara about your performance. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Any other question? The chairman.
Yeah, I just want to add this. We thank you very much. Your lecture came at the right time after we've had the general the forum. Yeah, so it came at the right time. Thank you very much for coming
I'm so
to
grateful.
tonight.
Thank you.
Okay. We have one of our planners, Planner Giftinyako, that's Sunyani West. Please, can you? Yes.
Okay, we have with us Saveya Damwa Afari, who is the Sana Hene. Please, can you wave at us? He was here with us yesterday in his apparel, but today he's being a real surveyor. So, Sana Hene, you are welcome.
Yes, so this from the Imam General. There's a bus outside that will help our Muslim brothers to go and have their Friday prayers. So maybe right after here, please converge outside, and then there's a bus available for you to go and fulfill your Friday obligation. So we'll now take the closing remarks from our dear chairman.
Thank you, MC. Before we left Accra to this place, I happened to chance on technical manual of SMD. And this one dates back 1922. In it, I read that land surveyors started planning of towns and villages. They gave specification how you should go about the work and the rest. Now, when the townships are prepared, they were sent to PWD, where they will add the flesh to it. I would say that before the planners came, land surveyors were doing that work. And I think we should continue to collaborate with them to make sure that it's a win-win situation. Yesterday, one of our colleagues made a remark. She's a lady. She told me, Chief, when they prepare the schemes, and let's say they have about 1,000 plots, they will tell us, okay, we are taking 100 plots for those who worked on it. The planner will take 50, and give 50 to the surveyors, who might be about 5 in a team. And I said, well, we are working in a team. They are also working in a team. I don't think the 50 alone goes to one person. And the same was, you have been reading on the platform what Sobeaka has been saying. When you do the base map or do any demarcation, and the landowners do not have money to pay, it can be paid in kind. That is giving you some number of plots to compensate for your work. Yesterday we heard that surveyors bring huge fees for base map, preparation of base maps. And if members will agree with me, henceforth, let us agree. We can do it for them free. But then the planner should send the local plan back to that surveyor for him to do the demarcation. At least he can recoup the fees that he has, the sweat that he has put in that preparation of the base map. In the communique that we shall present, I'm hoping it will go far. It will go far, so that from this year onwards, we will work closely, collaborate with them, and then come out with good plans. I mean, I'm talking about good designed plans or layouts to help Mother Ghana gain from it. We are praying that this will help to minimize land disputes. It will minimize double sales. If we go by the method Dr. Joseph Amaglo presented yesterday, I told you that we are here to find challenges which is militating against our profession, and also find solutions to them. On that note, we'll bring the session to an end. Thank you.
A round of applause. We can do it better for the chairman. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So we'll have a coffee break or tea. I can see some malt, so we'll have some malt break for now. We'll take about 20 minutes. So let's come back around 12:40 so that we can. Well, yes, the coffee break is in here. It's upstairs. So you don't need to go down. So please, in 20 minutes, we'll come back here for the next session. Thank you. Good afternoon. Kindly let us settle down for the next session. Our next presentation is going to be virtual. And then, under the topic, geospatial assessment of planning schemes using GIS and remote sensing. And the case study is in Takwa area. The presentation will be taken by Professor Kumi Boateng and Yakubu. So please, let's pay attention. The presentation will be online. After that, we'll have time with our young surveyors. Thank you.
Okay, good afternoon to you all. I am Felix Tabase, and I'm presenting on the topic Geospatial Assessment of Planning Schemes, a case study. My co-authors are Surveyor Professor Kumi Boateng, Surveyor Professor Yakubu Isaka. This is my presentation outline. The problem statement, the objectives, materials and methods results and discussions, conclusions, and recommendations. Urban planning refers to the formulation of alternative patterns of urban settlements, a rational use of land resources to alleviate urban problems, and then the provision of a physical and social infrastructure. The spatial structure of activities are usually put together in a document called the planning scheme or the local plan when it has to do with a district. Spatial structure of activities are put together as a structure plan when it has to do with a particular region. The spatial structure of activities are put together, and this document that contains the spatial structure of activities for a particular region are called spatial decision frameworks. The problem definition. The most common uses of land are for recreational purposes, transportation purposes, agricultural, residential, and commercial purposes, just to mention a few. In Ghana, various metropolitan, municipal, and district assemblies are fully responsible for planning the various communities, and a special unit that carries out that exercise is called the Special Planning Unit. This special planning unit, in some years back, used to be called the Town and Country Planning Department. And if this planning is not properly done, it brings about errors in the final planning scheme or local plan, or the various parcels of land on ground have issues. So you have either have the errors on the planning scheme or you experience errors on ground. These errors have negative influence on the growth of human settlements, which results to chaotic and grossly irregular growth in the various communities. Most urban areas with the inclusion of Takwa area are dominated with these problems due to these problems of unauthorized development, lack of infrastructure, poor sanitation, flooding, health hazards, fire hazards, crime, and other settlements due to ineffective planning, wrong and unapproved methods of urban planning, poor implementation, and the non-revision of planning schemes. Due to these errors associated with the planning scheme during the preparation, implementation, and revision, there is the need for the various metropolitan, municipal, district assemblies to have a database of the various schemes, and also carry out a geospatial assessment of these planning schemes from time to time to be able to come out with the errors in the planning schemes, and also to ensure that these planning schemes meet the current needs of the various communities. And this research seeks to create a geodatabase for the various land uses for the planning scheme of the Takwa area. This research further seeks to geospatially assess the planning schemes of the Takwa area, taking into consideration the standards of planning in Ghana, and then the results thereof will be used as the basis for the revision of the various planning schemes of the Takwa area. So the objectives of our research: one is to develop a geodatabase for the planning scheme of the Takwa area, to specially assess the planning schemes of the Takwa area, and to propose revisions to the various planning schemes of the Takwa area. Following data sets were used in the creation of the geodatabase of the Takwa area. Now, planning schemes of the area were used, maps of various roads and details were used, maps of pipelines, high tension, data was used. Wind rules data was also used as well. We also had the first data sets are, as a matter of fact, a special data sets that have to do with location of various features on ground. And the non-special data sets took into consideration attribute information. And some of the attribute information had to do with cadastral plans, as well as some of the parcels had cadastral plans. Are the parcels of land registered? If there are buildings on these lands, do we have permits for the buildings and all of that? Some of the materials that were used for this research includes both software instruments, and the software includes Excel, GNSS South Processor Spectrum Survey software, ArcGIS version 10 of 2018, and then the major instrument that was used on ground is the South GNSS receiver. The methods that were used in developing the geodatabase for the various parcels of land in the Takwa area. In order for us to create the geodatabase for the Takwa area, the data format of the planning scheme of the Takwa area was currently in JPEG format. We did not have part of the scheme in AutoCAD indicating in a vectorized form, but we rather got in a raster format. So we scanned it, and it had a cell size of 2.1 feet by 2.1 feet. This was imported in ArcGIS 10 software, where you choose the georeferencing to use in doing the georeferencing of the planning scheme or lines and the grid values. And the root mean square error for our georeferencing was 1.30 feet, and we use the same order we have made. This indicates an accurate way in the georeferencing course. Your root mean square error must always be smaller than the cell size of the raster data that is being used in any georeferencing operation. Now, the editor tool of ArcGIS software was now used in digitizing the various parcels of land within the Takwa area, and we experienced a digitization error of 0.09 feet, which is 0.003 meters. The digitization took into consideration the various parcels of land within the scheme and other features such as roads, rivers, and other utilities. And after the digitization was completed, the attribute structures on the land, permit details, and all of that. I would wish to make it clear that we did not have enough data, let me say attribute data for the town and country planning or the special planning unit, because they don't even have much data concerning various parcels of land. And so we resorted to hypothetical data to be able to test and see if this system will work. Now, the geospatial assessment methods in carrying out our geospatial assessment of the various planning schemes. The geospatial assessment of the various planning schemes took into consideration the positions of the various parcels of land on the planning scheme or the local plan and their corresponding location on ground. We also took into consideration the distances or the buffer between various utility features and various public features such as road, water bodies, pipelines, and all of that. We took into consideration the buffer that is supposed to be reserved for these features. And information on all these distinct features were taken from the various utility companies and validated with the use of our RTK South GNSS receivers in the RTK mode. Our geospatial assessment of the planning schemes continues. So information regarding the various various utility features and various rivers and other features on ground was added to the geodatabase. Now, we use the special analysis tools and the geostatistical analysis tools of ArcGIS 10 to create a buffer. And in dealing with our special analyst tools, we made very use of the ACT toolbox, where we took into consideration the overlay tools, which helped us to create a union between the various features as layers. And we also used the proximity tools of the ACT toolbox, which helped us to make use of the buffer. So a buffer was created. If it's 100 meters, if your reservation for a road is 100 meters from the center, depending on the type of road, we created a buffer to see if parcels of land were falling within this particular road reservation. A map was then created after the geospatial assessment indicating parcels of land, various land uses or land and land uses which were affected after the buffer was carried out. And this information aided in the revision of the scheme. Now, these are some of the factors we took into consideration: nearness to existing road as parcels of land, nearness to dams, nearness to rivers, and all of that. And based on international, how do I call it, publications of how the American system runs, the British, and how Ghana runs in terms of various reservations for the various features, we developed these reservations here in this table. Now, we are saying that after the geospatial or geospatial assessment of the various planning schemes, the final output is then used as the basis for the revision of the scheme of the. So, last some areas as unsuitable areas affected and areas that were affected with class as suitable areas. Now, our results and discussions. This is the geodatabase of sections of the parcels of land in the Tarkwa area, indicating the parcel ID, the name of the owner of that land, the perimeter of the land, the area of the land in square feet, and the locality is stamped. So we have Tarkwa and Soyim, whether they have a cadastral plan that has been approved, whether the building is complete or incomplete. What attribute data about the various parcels of land, plot 172, 174, and the like. This is the pictorial view of the various parcels of land in ArcGIS version 10. So you can see plot number 17 here, 16, 17 here, and you can see it indicated here as plot number 17. It belongs to Mr. Aban, the surname. And so he's called Randy Joe Aban. It belongs to Randy Joe Aban. And then this is the size of the land. That is 1,108.9 square feet. And then it is a registered land at the Lands Commission, but there is no building on it. This is the attribute data the town and country planning needs to have to be able to do a proper geospatial assessment of planning schemes. Now, we continue with our discussion. So the geodatabase is made up of approximately 7,546 parcels of land with their unique parcel identifiers, that is the various plot numbers. It also indicated various roads, rivers, and various utilities. It also indicated ownership of various parcels of land, locality and size of the parcels, registration status, development status, and permit status of the various parcels of land. Results continues. So after the geospatial assessment of the various planning schemes, the buffer is indicated here to show the parcels of land that are prohibited, parcels of land that are not supposed to be there, and the parcels of land that are supposed to remain there. So the sign, as you can see, as the buffer indicates areas that are prohibited for building based on road and other details. And the green color indicates parcels of land that indeed exist and they can truly exist as where they are. Now, we carried out a further analysis or a geospatial assessment based on wind direction. This is what usually happens in the US from literature that we read. Siting of various toilets or facilities that will bring out pungent smell is dependent on the wind direction. And so we carried out this research and we developed a wind rules for the Takwa area for a period of 10 years. And we saw that the wind direction, predominant wind direction of Takwa is the northwestern direction and followed by the southwestern direction. And you will realize that the settlements are focused on the northeastern, the eastern, and the southeastern direction, as you can see. Now, you will realize that where the wind rose is placed is within the northwestern and the western direction and southwestern. That is the Efuanta Galamsey area and Tamso Galamsey area. There are no settlements there. So the wind direction will flow in that direction. So the green bullets, as you can see, are the KVIP locations. KVIP 2, KVIP 8. So it means the pungent smell is blown towards the northwestern and the southwestern direction. Thereby, it's not blowing towards the people in the community. So we are trying to assess whether the sighting of the KVIP, according to the planning scheme, did they consider the wind direction. We realized that the wind direction was taken into consideration, and so we did not have pungent smell blowing on the people. Sorry. Now, we carried out a further geospatial assessment of the scheme, and this is an area, a section of the scheme, that is the the cyanide area. And you can see this scheme very beautiful. And when we carried out an overlay of various details that were said, those who are very familiar with the Takwa terrain, there's a section of cyanide. There's a major dam there called Cyanide in Sukiase. Cyanide in Sukiase is falling within plot number 363, 362, and all of that. So we therefore had a view that the planning scheme of that area did not take into consideration a base map or a topographic map that would show various land uses and land cover features on ground. And so it was probably designed just based on boundary inputs, which sometimes some planners still go by that. Now, we wanted to get figuratively in terms of numbers and figures. What is the shift in terms of various parcels of land on the ground from what the planning scheme prescribes? And you will see here that color green represents various parcels of land on ground, and then color red represents the various parcels of land on the planning scheme after georeferencing. So you will see that there is a consistent shift in the planning scheme in the shifting towards the how do I call it, the southwestern direction of that particular area. And so we took random points in the various areas, and then we picked and then we compared their positions on the planning scheme, and then we had also a similar one for the area. We did say Table Bay and other areas. Just for presentations, we are displaying just these few ones. You can see that there is a shift in these parcels of land on ground and also on what is on the scheme. We carried out a geospatial assessment of accuracy. And how did we do that? To ascertain the positional accuracy of implemented planning schemes of Takwa, residuals, standard deviation, and variance analysis was employed in what? On the coordinate of the parcels of land on ground and on the planning scheme. And the rationale for carrying out this was to be able to observe the inconsistencies and come out with figures that exist between the planning schemes on ground and the planning schemes that exist on the standard sheet of paper, whether digital or a hard copy. Now, for convenience sake, we assumed that the data is devoid of mistakes, that is blunders, and also devoid of systematic errors. And we also assume that all errors in the planning scheme are random errors. Now, after coming out with our data, we plotted a graph of the various residuals, that is the various residuals in terms of easterns and northerns, Figure 9 indicates a graph of residuals of the implemented planning scheme, where color orange represents the residuals for northerns and color blue represents the residuals for easterns. We went further to carry out variance analysis, and we plotted a graph that indicates the variances of the various parcels of land on ground vis-a-vis that of what is on the planning scheme, and we saw the various variances represented here. That is the blue one showing variances in easterns, and then the orange color showing variances in what? Northerns. Now, we saw from the results that there is an average variance of negative 2.27 meters and 16.91 meters in easterns and northerns respectively. We further carried out standard deviation analysis. We computed from our variances and our residuals, we computed standard deviations in terms of easterns and northerns of the various parcels of land. And we realized that from our random sampling, we have plus or minus of 35.24 meters deviation in eastern in terms of every parcel of land that is being set out in the area, and then plus or minus of 53.15 meters in terms of eastern. Now, this is the result of our, that's a map that we initiated, or we used the erase tool in terms of the ACT toolbox. So we erased all areas that were not suitable for settlement. We erased all those settlements and made the various areas free for re-planning or revision of the area, so that we can revise the scheme based on these inputs as the basis for revision of the scheme. Now, the proposed revisions of the scheme. So we are saying that the map of a suitable area could be used as basis for revision of the planning scheme, and this will ensure that the various buffers for rivers, streams, and all utility features are adhered to, and this will bring sanity and then development to the area. It can be concluded that geodatabase has been created for 7,546 parcels of land in the Tarkwa area, which provides vital attribute information for the various parcels of land. It can further be concluded that various parcels of land within the Tarkwa area on ground, that is on ground, indicating areas that are not implementable, like ditches and valleys and ponds, and after getting that final map, that should be approved by the special planning committee of the various metropolitan assemblies as the approved layout of scheme for those various areas. We also recommend that revisions of the various planning schemes should be done at least every 5 years. And we recommend finally that attribute information should be considered during population and housing census. Such attribute information will help the metropolitan, municipal, and district assemblies have a wonderful geodatabase of the various parcels of land, and such attribute information will include ownership of various parcels of land, whether they have registered, do they have permits, and all of that. Thank you very much for your time. I'm grateful. God bless you all. I'm ready for questions and then suggestions. Thank you. I'm done and I'm ready for questions.
Thank you, Mr. Presenter. Please, my question is, I want to find out, did you do ground truthing? What is the magnitude of shift between ground information and that of your special analysis? Thank you.
Okay. Thank you very much. The various magnitudes are shown in section. We realized that we had a magnitude of 35.24 meters in terms of eastern, and how do I put it? And then we had a magnitude of 53.152 meters in terms of northern. For presentation's sake, if we do not present in terms of standard deviations in easterns and northerns, it will be very difficult for us to have a very clear image of it. But what we did was that we also checked from one point to the other. Maybe if we consider point A on the scheme and point B on the ground, we saw that some of them were about 100 feet difference, some were 150, some were 20. And so that is why we did standard deviation analysis to be able to come out with standard deviations in terms of easterns and standard deviations in terms of northern. So I would say we had positional deviations in terms of 35.24 meters on ground, and then in terms of eastern, and 53.15 meters in terms of northern on ground.
Thank you. I hope that answers your question. Any other questions before we move on?
If he inquired from the fiscal planning department about whether there has been street naming and property addressing system in the chosen area for the research, because the attribute data that he was talking about in the street naming and property addressing process, we do data collection, which provides all those information as to UPN number, property owner name, phone number, the use of the land, or other information relevant to the particular property in question. So I just want to find out from him the extent of street naming and property exercise implementation within the chosen research area. Thank you.
Yeah, I'm very sorry. My network wasn't so good. Can you please repeat what you said, please?
What I said was that I want to find out from you the extent of consultation with the fiscal planning department with regards to implementation of street naming and property addressing implementation within the chosen research area. Because the attribute data that he gave, there may be corresponding information that may be retrieved from the street naming exercise implementation process. Because in the implementation of that exercise, there is a component called data collection that provides attribute information with regards to UPN number, property owner name, the use of the land, and other information relevant to that particular parcel in question. So I just want to find out from you if you did extensive consultation with the fiscal planning department as to the extent of implementation of street naming within the chosen research area.
Okay, thank you very much for your question. This data was collected in 2017 and 2018. And during that time, the information, as a matter of fact, the town planner is a friend, and he has knowledge of what has gone on. He was so much interested. By then, he had just inherited the Takwa Isoyim Municipal Assembly as a special planner. And so he wanted to have knowledge of some of these things happening in the area to help him know areas where he would quickly revive the schemes. And so from the information he gave to me, some of the areas, in that time he told me that there was a committee by then that authorized them to plan with 3 teams. So as I speak to you now, from the best of the little knowledge that I have, you cannot have a planning scheme now without naming. But during that time, there were schemes that existed without street names. So that is why I indicated in my presentation that some of the information in the attribute data was hypothetical. We wanted to see that it's workable to get a geodatabase for parcels of land, owners of parcels of land, whether they have a permit status, to know their permit status, have they registered at the Lands Commission, and all of those things. So, but today, we may easily have all of that information available. So a revision of this particular geodatabase can now give us a more representative information of the area than other sections where we use attribute data. I don't know if I've answered you right. I'm still available for corrections and suggestions. I am available. So that is the background behind which this research was carried out.
Thank you very much. So my name is Alexander Aite. I serve as the chair of the YSN at the LS division. The title of this presentation, a very brief one, the Young Surveyors Network, a new structure and a new direction. So this is going to be the content of the presentation. I give you a background to the Young Surveyors Network, how it is recognized in the Ghana Institution of Surveyors. We look at the state of the YSN at the institutional level, and then the agenda of the YSN. Then we come to the LSD YSN, what we are currently doing, our planned activities ahead of us, and then I'll share some media resources that we have. We have a lot of members. Some of our members are not currently on our platforms, so I'll share our social media pages so that those who are not currently on it can join us on our platforms. So first, permit me to quote from the Ghana Institution of Surveyors Constitution as amended in 2017. So it says that there shall be established a Young Surveyors Network organization which shall be the youth wing of the institution. The YSN shall comprise those members whose ages are below 40 years, or as the governing council will from time to time prescribe. It goes ahead to say that the functions and the administrative structure of the Young Surveyors Network shall be defined by the governing council of the institution. So if you are with the Ghana Institution of Surveyors and you are age 40 and below, by this constitutional provision, you are a member of the YSN. And so currently what we are pushing for, and we have a very strong indication that currently in the works. We met with the Surveyor President and she asked our views, and currently she says she has a team working on the administrative structure at the institutional level. So what is the state of the YSN? The YSN now. So most of the activities of the YSN are at the divisional level. So we have a decentralized structure. The divisional committee nominates people. So you see, nomination of executives are done by the divisional committee. So myself, for example, I was nominated by the by ESCO and confirmed by the divisional committee. There is vibrancy, as we have seen in the YSN. I'll share some of the activities that we did last year. And pool of opportunities. I mentioned earlier that we have YSN members serving in this year's seminar planning committee, YSN members serving in the various subcommittees of the division. Also, once you become a member, you are part of the institutional affiliation to FIG. There are other international affiliations from the other divisions. And then opportunity for professional development. We've had instituted in the calendar of the division a CPD for the YSN. Last year we had it on 21st September, and this year we also have it in the calendar to hold it. So I'll talk about that later in the presentation. So these are some of the activities of the YSN. We see LSD presentation, CPD last year, we had it on 25th. These are pictures from there. We have also a presentation by the VES division, and then the QS also had their own activities for last session. So what is the agenda of YSN at the institution? So we're looking at a mentorship program. We have a pool of experienced surveyors, and then we have budding young surveyors. So we want to link the two. So we pair young surveyors to senior expert surveyors so that the training that we are having at the division can also be taken out there into the industry. We are looking at networking. So anytime we meet, we have activities, we get to know ourselves, we know where we work, and then we can link up, collaborate for a better YSN, a better division, and a better institution. We are looking at volunteering activities. On the arm of social corporate responsibility of the GHIS, we can take the resources of the YSN, we can leverage on it, get YSM people to volunteer to do activities that in the end will give mileage to the institution and push the name GHIS surveyors out there. Finally, we want to launch a YSM week. It was supposed to be this year, but we plan to push it to next year. So YSM week, we have a whole week dedicated to the YSM. We have fun activities, we have some paper presentations. Because mostly, we have YSM people in academia, people in the industry working. But the time we have for our seminar is probably mostly too short to have all the YSM presentation. We have awards for KMUS students, Ghana School of Surveying students, we have those from UMAT. But we don't see this presentation, but each year the division will give awards to these students. So we create a platform for them to also come and showcase what they have done, and then the award that I give them can justify. So that's what we want to do. We want to launch, and this last session we were able to get approval from Governing Council, but the approval came with a caveat that it shouldn't be at the divisional level, but it should be done by the YSM at the institutional level. So then now we come home. So we started from the FIG, from Soviatinebu, and then I have shown you what the YSM has been doing at the institutional level, and now we are going to the Land Surveying Division. You notice that the template that I'm using is like a puzzle, and there's a missing piece. So I want members to get the attention that I see the YSM as a missing piece, and I believe already we see how the division is adopting and leveraging YSM. I believe if this is enforced, we will see more benefits in the division. So the YSM is one of the subcommittees under the LSD. Currently, I serve as the chair. There are two other members with me who serve on the divisional committee. We have Surveyor Ivy Gladys Battenberg. We have Pakwisi Apufu, Owusu, Ezanato. So three of us serve on the divisional committee. Now, I'll share some statistics with you. When you look at the brochure that was given to us, you estimate the numbers is about 430 people in good standing. Now, our records show that the YSM is about 25% of this total members in good standing. Now, considering the average age of new inductees, we can clearly project that in some few years to come, YSM numbers could be about 50% of the total population of the GHIS and also of the LSD. So this tells us that we have to start orienting our activities, and already it's clearly seen in LSD division bringing the YSM on board, so that when our senior colleagues cannot be actively involved in our activities, we have very strong and vibrant young surveyors to take up the mantle. So when I was nominated the chair, we were asked to get some YSM members to serve on the committees. At the first meeting, divisional meeting, an issue came up because it seemed like we didn't have a common platform where we had all the YSM. We had some social media platforms, but it involved a lot of people. There were student surveyors, there were graduate surveyors. The people on the platform weren't only YSM members. So we started a restructuring program. So we created a new YSM platforms. We got from the secretariat a list of YSM members. It was a long list. I believe there were people even outside the bracket. But we sent messages to them, because the Constitution says that if you are 40 years and below, you belong to YSM. But there's freedom of association, so you can choose to be part or choose not to be part. So we send messages to people to decide if they want to be part. And currently we have our 96 people on our WhatsApp platform, and then we have 76 on our Telegram platform. And this platform we have adopted as the official platform of the Young Surveyors Network of the Land Surveying Division. Now we created a new structure, and the structure had executives, including myself and the two names that I mentioned, and other executives. About 10 of us And then we have regional executives also. So we see the vision of the institution of the division to decentralize. So we want to also bring our reps in the regions on board. So we have regional executives. There are 16 regions, but so far we have for about 10. We are encouraging other members to join, and so that we have a full house. And then we're thinking of having student reps also. But here we focus on the 4 main institutions that train land surveyors. So this is KNUST in Kumasi, UMAT in Takwa, and from the private sector we have CAF University, and then we have Ghana School of Surveying and Mapping. So we have student reps because there should be a transition from student membership to trainees to members. So we want to create that link at the very base so that we build up to the division and then the institution. And then YSM commitment to divisional activities. So like I mentioned earlier, now we have YSM members for the first time serving in all divisional subcommittees. The seminar planning committee, we have 2 members represented. And then we have been given this time, I believe since we came back from COVID, before, I don't remember, I've attended a number of seminars and I don't remember a session for YSM. But today we have here, we've been given an opportunity to share what the YSM is doing with members. So I want to take this opportunity also to share with you and seek sponsorship on 2 major upcoming activities. So fortunately, the CPD committee has dedicated our first president, Dr. Kwame Nkrumah's birthday to the YSM, because the YSM is so dear to the division. So we'll be holding our second CPD on 21st September. Last year we had a very, very good program. We had a lot of sponsors. I want to see that any member here, any firm here who wants to be part of this will acknowledge you, will give you the mileage that you want. If you are a firm that you want to come and advertise, you are welcome. We know that the division will support us, but we're also seeking additional sponsorship. I'll have to also note here that the YSN at the previous seminar made profits after our CBD program. And then secondly, we want to use the YSN members in the various regions. And it's not a commercial project, but we want to identify some senior high schools. We go there and then we prepare guide maps of their campuses. This is as part of the social corporate responsibility of the division of the institution. And then when we do this, the division can take it upon itself to go and commission this. We put the name out there that surveyors have done this. We give exposure to the young surveyors. This also, we want members to support us. If you have maybe an alumni to your school that you want to prepare a guide map for the senior high school, you can contact us. We are looking at selecting for each year. So this is a long term, maybe in the next 16 years. Each year we select one, either from the northern, middle, or the southern sector of Ghana. We select a school. And if maybe you have a year group that you want to sponsor this, we'll have YSN members in that region come together. It's a volunteering work. So they are not going to charge you. And then if you do sponsor, you'll be acknowledged. So if there's GHIS, the firm or the individual or the year group that support this will also be acknowledged. So these are the 2 activities that we have ahead of us, and we are seeking for sponsorship. Finally, now a lot has moved, technology is changing a lot of things, so I wouldn't leave here without marketing the YSN on social media. So the top 2, we have QR codes. For the left side, we have WhatsApp, and the right side, we have Telegram. This is only for YSN members. So if you are age 40 and below, and you are not currently on our official platforms, the 2, WhatsApp and Telegram, are our 2 official platforms. The Facebook platform is for the whole GHIS YSN. And then the Twitter one is for the FIG YSN. So Thank you very much for your attention. And again, I end on the note that the missing piece is the Young Surveyors Network. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Alex. I don't presume we have any questions. So now you know, young surveyors are people who are from 40 and below. So can I see the young surveyors here? Young surveyors. Alex, I can't see the 50% too. Maybe about 40, 30%. Okay. Great. But we are impressed. In the past, it didn't used to be like this. Thank you so much, young surveyor. Surveyor Tieku says he's a young surveyor, so kindly write his name. Yes. Please, there's one question before we go for break.
Thank you very much. There is one thing I want us to look at it as institution and division very well. Young Surveyors Ghana, per GHIS Constitution, age less than 40. Young Surveyors FIG, per definition, age less than 35. So that missing link is there. The consequence of this is that we may groom up some good YSM members, and when they are mature, that we can take them to the higher level, they will not be able to do that because of their age. I hope you are getting what I'm doing now. Yeah, you can have a very good person from there, then the person may be more than 35, qualifies for Ghana's YSM, but he or she may not be able to take a position at FIG International. So as a division and as an institution, I think it's one of the things that we should be able to take care of. Thank you very much.
That is well noted. Just one more.
Okay, from your presentation, you took us to a portion of the constitution of the GHIS. And there you told us that there shall be established a young surveyors organization. It is clear there, but you are now calling yourself Young Surveyors Network. You see, there is a network somewhere. I don't know where you got the network from, where the constitution says that you should be called Young Surveyors Organization. So I think you have to take a second look at that. Thank you.
It says there shall be a Young Surveyors Organization. It didn't say whose name shall be Young Surveyors Organization. So it is an organization. But as to whether it says that the name should be Young Surveyors Organization, it's not very specific. So I think it says there shall be a Young Surveyors Organization, an organization made up of young surveyors. So I believe that's why we have white. Alex.
So I believe the name YSN is coming from FIG, and then the section of the constitution that I quoted, the heading there is Young Surveyors Network, but the description is where the organization is. But even after the organization, in brackets, see YSN.
Great. I hope you are fine. That further explains. Okay, thank you.
What I'm doing, I think he would have been the best person to do it because he has the institutional knowledge. YSN used to be called YSO, Young Surveyors Organization. And I have the privilege of being the honorary secretary at the time that this whole idea was mooted by the then president, late Kendall Bisset. And it was YSO then, before we affiliated with FIG and went to YSN. Yeah.
We'll now take our closing remarks from our chairman, and then we'll give some few announcements and go for lunch.
Thank you. I want this message to go to DHIs, so council members in taking. No, we are copying the RICS method of administration. And I know that if you are a student member of the RICS, when you complete and you want to join RICS, you don't take all the examination papers. You are exempted from some of them. But in Ghana, no soup. No soup. So let's take it to council. Let us debate on it and then see how we encourage our members, the young ones, to know that. And then why said, no, we've been with a project. That is the demarcation of the meridian. The one we did at
Sonia, there wasn't any young surveyor on the team. Now we've got 2 or 3 other towns to do the demarcation of the meridian. So organize yourselves, get some people from the YSN to take part so that you will know how it is done when the old men are not around. On that note, I want to congratulate our YSN for the manner organizing themselves and pray that in the near future we'll see them taking the mantle from the old. On that note, I would say enjoy your lunch, and then we'll come back to do the final thing. That is the AGM. Thank you.
In fact, the Vice President of the Ghana Institution of Surveyors, to take us through the steps that you go through before you progress from a professional member to a fellow. So please, let's welcome Surveyor Dr. Tony Akwadwo.
Thank you, Tima. Good afternoon, everyone. One of the things that Governing Council has observed is that there are a lot of us here who have been admitted in the institution for over 10 years and have potential to be elevated to the fellow class. We don't know what might be the reason why some of you are not willing to be elevated. So I'm going to take very few minutes to take us through some of the things that we are required to do, so that if you are planning to be a fellow, you know what to do. Now, the other thing is that the committee that I chair, the membership committee, has been tasked to reach out to all the people who are potential or fellow potentials, so that we'll be able to educate them on the need to become fellows and then help them to also fill the form. So, I will spend a few minutes on this. As I said, Government Council has recognized the need to have people elevated to fellows. And one of the critical challenges is that in some regions, we don't even have people who will endorse application forms for potential or trainees. And that becomes a very difficult situation. That's why we feel that we need to have more or many of our members being fellows. Now, the first thing we need to know who qualifies to be a fellow. If you are in the institution and you have attained more than 10 years, you qualify to be elevated to the class of fellow. And apart from that, you must also satisfy some conditions. You should be someone who has participated in the institution's activities. So it's not just having a year, but someone who has participated in the institution's activities. So one of the reasons why I'm doing this thing is that you should catalog all the things that you are required to submit for you to enable you to qualify for. And this seminar is one of the things that you can use as a part of the document you submit for your candidation. So when can you apply? You have, the window is up to 15th of October. So you see that we have very short time. But last Wednesday, when ESCO and Government Council met, the people in the region, I mean our members in Bono region, Bono East and Ahafo, right? There was some kind of dispensation. So those who are able to get the form, endorse it, will be able to push it forward. So it is something that we can also take advantage of. Now, when you are completing the form, what do you need to have? The first part is your personal details. I'm not going to go through all of them. So the key is your name and your diploma number. Right. And then your qualification, your academic qualification, and your if you are a member of any other professional body. Now, if you look at the slide, you see that there are points there. And in fact, before I continue, yeah, you can assess yourself and see whether you have the money. It is a difficult form to fill. Fellow's application form is not that easy. There's a lot of information that you need to provide. Well, we are trying to simplify it. But as it is now, it is more than applying for a promotion in the university. I don't know, maybe EG will be able to help us. Whether the one who championed it was an academic person. Because the information that you have to provide, those in academia have it relatively easier than those. So you need to take record of everything that you do for the division and then the institution. So, what your professional employment, what you have achieved, if there is any award that you have gotten from your employment or whatever, you can take it as a record. And your personal responsibilities, your effectiveness, and so on and so forth. So that is your qualification. Then the next one looks at three main things. Your contribution to the institution as one, your contribution to the division, and your contribution to the branch. So this is the reason why we are asking that those in the regions try as much as possible to organize yourself. If you organize yourself, you do small CPDs and so on and so forth. All these things give you points for you to be able to apply for fellow. So for contribution to the institution, if you look at the points award, it's almost 30 points. So that's the height. So you talk about your attendance at annual general meetings, presidential lectures, if you have made any publication in our journal, institution journal, or any other journal. Then if you are a resource person or you have been a resource person, you get some points. When you serve on government council, you have some points. If you participated in educational talk or social talk and all those things will give you points. So you need to catalog all those things, and before you realize you have passed, the pass mark is 60. Yeah? If you get below that, you don't, it's not like AMS where we give you 40 points. So 60. Okay, serving on committees, serving as a facilitator or rapporteur, or any other special thing that you do. Then in the same way, your contribution to the division. What you do for the division, being a member of divisional committee, being a seminar organizing committee, representing the divisions in various activities, and so many things. So all of them can give you CPDs, all of them can give you points. Then, I think, let me correct this. If you look at it, the contribution to the division is bigger than that of the institution. Your contribution to the division is 35 points. So that shows that it means that your commitment to the division is critical when we talk about your elevation to the field class. Then I talk about the service contribution to the the local branches. Sorry. And then finally, your contribution to the society. In what way have you served Mother Ghana or international level? Those who have points in terms of publication, in terms of service to the community, any award or recommendation that you have gotten, or any other. And one last important thing is payment of annual subscription. So if you haven't paid your annual subscription, that can even take you off completely because you will not qualify. But again, once you pay, you will also be given some points. So finally, when you have provided all this information with evidence, with records, to show that all the things that you have provided are genuine, right? You make a declaration that maybe what information that you have provided is correct over there. You sign, it's submitted to the secretariat. The secretariat will forward it to the CPD committee, and then the CPD committee will look at it, rank it, and give you points and make a recommendation to government council. Simple. Our committee, let me borrow from President Kufuor. My committee is ready to help all those of our members who want to be elevated to the classroom. We are going to create platforms, organize CPDs for you on how to be able to fill the form, and then we'll see the way forward. Thank you very much for your attention. On this note, I think I'll ask Chairman, I want to ask some leave because I have to be in Accra tomorrow morning. Thank you very much.